us now. Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey. He's the top Democrat on the Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, thanks so much for joining us. Let me get your response to this news that Rudy Giuliani is now feeding information from Ukraine, supposedly on the Bidens, to the Justice Department.
Well, look, I don't understand why Rudy Giuliani actually needs a special channel of any sort, whether it's close to the department, not close to the department. It's still the department at the end of the day. Why does he need a channel of any sort to specifically vet what he has to say at the end of the day? I mean, this is the same Rudy Giuliani whose list of conflicts is as long and inconsistencies is as long as his list of foreign clients that he has. This is the same Rudy Giuliani who was peddling false information at the State Department against Ambassador Ivanovich. So I don't understand why he rises to the level that he has a special channel at the Department of Justice to supply his dirt to be vetted at the end of the day.
You just heard this new letter that just has been released from the House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler seeking answers from the Attorney General about this arrangement with Giuliani. Should the Senate, that's the House of Representatives Judiciary Committee Chairman, but should the Senate be doing something about this as well?
Absolutely. Listen, the Senate should be doing a whole host of things. Number one is that the political firings, the retribution against Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, who should be considered a patriot and should have gotten a promotion, not a firing at the end of the day, is outrageous. This is what I see in authoritarian countries in the world, Wolf, that we try to promote democracy and human rights. That type of action that the president took is what I see in an authoritarian country. It's not what I see in the United States of America. That is not the rule of law. That is not democracy, human rights. That is not what we promote throughout the world. But it happened here. This is also the person and the president of the United States who ultimately all of his Republican enablers enabled him. All of those who said he was going to learn a lesson, he learned a lesson. No. From the prayer breakfast to the White House to what happened with Vindman and Ambassador Sondland, he has not learned any lesson. And so Republicans particularly, everybody needs to, but Republicans particularly, those who have been his enablers, those who have been complicit in allowing him to act the way he's acted, need to be speaking up, and they need to be both pursuing the question at the Justice Department on Giuliani. They also should be pursuing the questions at the State Department.
Because you heard Republican Senator Cornyn of Texas say, we hope the president learned a lesson. What you're suggesting is you don't believe the president learned any lesson?
No. Look, he comes out after his, acquittal, and he goes to the National Prayer Breakfast, which is the annual event that brings people together across faiths, across parties, and he's vicious and vindictive at the National Prayer Breakfast. He then has a rally at the White House at the taxpayers' expense. And it's not only what he said that's so bothersome, it's what the audience is applauding about. Again, vicious and vindictive. And then the firings of Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, or the removal of him from the National Security Council, along with his brother, who didn't testify, didn't do anything in this regard. These are the things we see in dictatorships. They are not the things we see in democracies. So yes, my colleagues have enabled him, and in my mind, they're complicit in what he's doing by enabling him to do so.
You heard the Attorney General say that the Justice Department is taking steps to ensure that Giuliani's information, in the Attorney General's words, is carefully scrutinized. Does that give you confidence?
No. First of all, why does he need a special avenue? I assume that any citizen that has information, if citizens have information about President Trump, they have a special venue at the Department of Justice to bring that information to the department's attention? No. This is created for Giuliani because the president insists upon it. And whatever veneer you want to put on it, whatever face you want to put on it about that, oh, we're going to do the impartial review to make sure that this is legitimate information, if it is legitimate at all, is ultimately, exactly that, a veneer. It's not what the Department of Justice should be in the midst of. It is not what should be going on. We already have a proven track record with Giuliani of him spreading false lies. I don't know who, first of all, who's his client? Who's paying him? I don't know. Shouldn't we know that before we allow him to peddle anything?
Well, we do know that one of his clients is the President of the United States.
Well, you know, he says he's his client. Sometimes the president says he is his lawyer. Sometimes he says he isn't his lawyer. But who's paying him? Is the president paying him? Is a campaign committee paying him? Or is a foreign client paying him to do all this Ukraine dirty work? We should know, because that goes to the truth and credibility of whatever he's trying to peddle.
Citing protocol, the FBI won't say whether it has actually opened an investigation into Joe or Hunter Biden. Does that concern you at all?
Well, look, the reality is that what concerns me is that it seems that Rudy Giuliani has a special track to bring his dirt and whatever fabricated information he has into the Department of Justice in the first instance. That whether or not the department will confirm whether they have an investigation or not is not, reassuring to me, especially when you've created a special track for Rudy Giuliani to bring his dirt into the Department of Justice. That can never be viewed as clean at the end of the day.
The Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer, is now calling on all federal inspectors general to investigate witness retaliation in the aftermath of the firing of White House officials Friday night. Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, Gordon Sondland, the former U.S. ambassador now to the EU. What power does the Senate have to protect those who speak out, those who are subpoenaed, come before Congress, testify honestly as best as they can, but then have to pay a price?
Well, this is part of what I am doing. I'll be giving a speech later this week at Brookings about action that we need to take to guarantee that civil servants who honor the Constitution of the United States, who honor a congressionally mandated subpoena, who follow the rule of law, who follow the procedures, don't get retaliated against. And both at the State Department or the NSC or any other government official. And I'm just afraid that while the Whistleblower Act does have some protections for an individual who is designated as a whistleblower, these other individuals were not whistleblowers. Vindman was not the whistleblower. He's just someone who righteously came forward and did what is patriotic to do. Say, I see something wrong, I believe something is wrong, and I need to speak to it. And that should be honored and protected, not crucified as the president has.
Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey, thanks as usual for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.